Okay, so now today we are still doing from our textbook, Goodhart Wilcox, Chapter 1, PowerPoint, and we're starting on slide 24. We've been talking about just the categories of human services. So today we're talking about the common core competencies, and that is to be understanding of human development, awareness of social and societal interactions, knowledge of how national policy is set and how public policy is used to solve human problems, consideration of and respect for personal values, client values, and corporate culture. We want an understanding of what people need to live healthy lives and maintain healthy relationships. We also want to have knowledge of conditions that promote or limit the optimal healthy living and relationships of people. We want to have a belief that for people with the right resources and support, their quality of life can be enhanced. And awareness of resources that can promote healthy functioning. So knowledge of what's out there, what's available. Okay, a career and technical program prepares students for careers in specific trades and occupations that need skilled workers. Our CTE program at Azle High School is geared to that, to help you become a skilled worker in some type of category, some type of field that you are interested in. That's why we offer, we have 38 different teachers, but we offer many classes under that. These are available for high school and college students. They combine your academics and your job-specific skills. So we teach you the material, but we also teach you how to be ready for a job. Sometimes there is an apprenticeship. It involves working for a qualified professional to learn a skilled trade. So, for instance, if you were going to be an electrician, you would do an apprenticeship under the master electrician to help you get certified for your first electrician level. They want you to be able to earn a salary in those apprenticeships. Now, there are internships that are unpaid, and there are apprenticeships that are paid. Some internships are paid, but very few. So if you're apprenticing under a master electrician or a master plumber, you will earn a salary while you learn those skills. That apprenticeship or that internship may last from 1 year to 4 years, depending on how you're progressing. Okay, so now let's look at more traditional school education, training, and experience. So post-secondary, meaning after high school, because secondary is high school, junior high and high school is considered secondary, elementary is your elementary school. But post-secondary is after high school, and what degrees would you get after that? So an associate's degree, that's 2 years of college. Then a bachelor's degree, that is 4 years. It should be 120 hours of your specific degree plan. Then a master's degree, which is 30 hours above your bachelor's in your specific field. Then there's actually a level in between, which is not on this slide. It's called a specialist degree, and that's 30 more hours. And then a doctorate degree is above that. And depending on your doctorate plan, you may take classes or you may write a thesis. And both of those would feed into your doctoral program. There's also on-the-job training. A lot of companies will train you once you are hired. You may start out with a certain amount of knowledge, but they still have to continue to train you. Even teachers, we have professional development every summer to continue to train us to be better teachers, to know what they want us to know that year, and to implement the programs that they're adding. So on-the-job training is a great thing. And it depends on the company. State licensure, certification, or professional registration. That's also something. Let's say you are a real estate agent. You would need to be licensed by the state. And you may come in and do that internship or that apprenticeship under a official realtor that's also a broker. And then you would study for your state licensing exams before you could become a realtor. Okay, challenges and rewards. Dealing with people in times of crisis and need can be challenging and emotionally taxing. When we're under a lot of pressure to get things done, then yes, it can play a toll on our emotions. In some human services careers, the hours can be quite long and the pay relatively low. For one example of that is social work. Social workers are highly underpaid, and they do a job that can be not very safe and very emotionally hard on you emotionally, but the pay is very, very low. So I wish that would be one area that would take another look at the pay levels. It's very sad. It is needed, very needed. So the person needs to really love what they are doing. Helping people achieve their goals, secure needed resources, and maintain healthy relationships is very gratifying and rewarding. For instance, I'm going to bring up FEMA. People that have been displaced due to hurricanes and storms. The people who work at FEMA, they are under pressure to get things done very, very quickly. But it is very satisfying when they help a family get the services they need. Maybe it's just somewhere to stay for the night, or maybe it's food and water. But it's gratifying to know that you help them in their time of need. In emergency services, that's another area that natural disasters, or maybe it's a gas line explosion, or forest fire. Emergency service workers do that. My aunt used to work for the Forest Service, and she would go to all the forest fires in California, and her job was actually to disperse the needs for the firefighters, a place to sleep and food and water so that they could serve. But also some of the people she worked with, they helped the families move out of those areas and get into hotels and things. So very rewarding, but yet taxing on you at the same time. Human service workers work with diverse clients, and they develop meaningful relationships. You can't help but feel close to the people that you're helping. Just the gratitude that they would have by someone helping them is very good. Okay, human services job outlook. Employment of human service workers is expected to grow faster than the average for most occupations in the coming decades. It's just mainly because we're realizing how huge human services can be. It is massive. Any job, any company that provides for people, that provides a product, provides a service, can be under the human services umbrella. So it's the jobs are they're just being recategorized. It's stuff that we've always done over the last 100 years, but it's being recategorized so that it falls under human services. So those jobs are out there. Careers in human services may ebb and flow in relation to what is happening in the overall economy. Of course, jobs to work at FEMA are going to go up when there's been a tornado or when there's been a hurricane, and those would be temporary jobs, but they would go up and then they would fall back. And then they would go up and they'll fall back depending on what's going on at the time, whether or not there have been named hurricanes that year, or some that came and made landfall in areas that they would normally go on out into the Pacific or Atlantic and not hit. But if they do, now we need more help. Okay, so think further. What places in your community may experience an increased demand for human services workers as the expected human lifespan continues to lengthen? Okay, so America's population is aging. The main reason for that was the baby boom. The baby boom happened after World War II when soldiers came home to their families, and then lots of babies were born after that. And so that's just a natural progression to have so many men away and then come back, because there was a little hole of where babies would have been born, but since the soldiers were away and they came back, now you have the baby boom. Well, those baby boomers, because that was kept, they had children and then they had children, so they kept like a 2-generation numbers on that. Well, all of those now, over time, they're reaching retirement age. So there's going to be more need for those services for the elderly. I think I've heard that 10,000 people are turning 65 every day based on being a baby boomer, being a child that came after World War II. Okay. So what is the primary focus of the human services profession? Meeting the needs of people and improving their quality of life. That's the primary focus, to help people. What 2 factors influence the formation of human services? Okay, so urban density and the changing of ideology because of the Dust Bowl and the famine and the Great Depression, which was in conjunction with that. Now people are moving to cities to have a job, and just the sheer numbers of people have caused people to say, hey, we need help. The churches, the people of the church, they've been doing it, all of this stuff, but now there are so many we can't handle them all. So we need to have some extra help. Okay, identify the broad employment categories in the field of human services. So there are consumer services, counseling and mental health services, early childhood development, family community services, personal care services, entrepreneurial careers, food, clothing, and housing related services. What are the common aptitudes and skills? Having a common desire to help people, being compassionate, caring, patient, being a problem solver, good communicator, time management skills, and being able to work with people and independently. Okay, so what 4 degrees might help? Associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctorate degree. And what is the job outlook? It is expected to grow because we need more people. Also, the population is increasing, so we need more helpers. Okay, that's the end. And turn in your Cornell notes to Canvas.